What if someone strapped Mjölnir Thor's mythical hammer to a roller coaster? No need to wonder anymore. I've done it. My brothers and sisters in arms, welcome back to Camtaso Park. In the last episode, we toured the Nymph Woods together, the mythical ancient Greece area inspired by crescendo melodies. Today, we're going from one mythology to another as we explore the village of Nyr Midgard, the Norse mythology area inspired by Planet Coaster 2's Viking mascot. This is one of the most detailed areas in the park yet, and that's definitely because I'm a massive fan of Norse mythology. Between a handful of custom shops, including a barbecue place, my usual Jan BK toilets, a working axe-throwing place, and of course an intense Vekoma beyond vertical launch coaster, it's yet another episode with a massive amount of things to check out. And remember, you can download the updated work-in-progress version of Camtaso Park right now, that way this video can be your very own guided tour of the area. Now it's time to travel to the realm of Nyr Midgard. When we toured the Nymph Woods in the last episode, I quickly mentioned the portal to the area we'll be exploring today. This is a building carved into a cliffside inspired by Petra, and it has details reminding you of Norse mythology while still having a Greek style in order not to break your immersion. For example, we have these winged warriors on top of the monument symbolizing Valkyries, the women leading warriors who died in battle to Valhalla, and that's why you can see weapons and shields down on the lower section of the build. The reason why I'm referencing that part of the Norse afterlife is because Nyr Midgard is taking place after Ragnarok, the equivalent of the apocalypse in this mythology, but you may know Midgard already, the realm of men. Why is this area called Nyr Midgard then? Well, there's kind of an open ending to this mythology. During Ragnarok, all of the 9 realms but Midgard have been destroyed, and ever since I read that a handful of years ago, my mind's been wondering what a world after Ragnarok would look like. That is why today I'm taking you to New Midgard. That is what Nyr Midgard means in Old Norse. As we step inside the portal, we're immediately transported to a Viking corridor with axes and shields, and that's because it's the extension of this other side of the portal. It's this little cliffside gatehouse with magic runes around it to allow traveling from one place to another thanks to what little remains of rune magic around the village. And speaking of the village, welcome to Nyr Midgard, my friends. We're greeted by a civilization perched atop the cliffside of a fjord in which we can see our coaster power through the layout. What a first impression, huh? Well, there's also the fact that the entrance to the land from the Nymph Woods leads you to a bridge where the coaster does an immelman. I'm really betting on the wow factor here. Let's start our tour of the area with a stop on our left at Freyr's Meal, a shop for your breakfast needs where you can get some smartly named pastries like Fours Eclairs, shout out to my French audience who will hopefully get the joke, but also a tea named after 4 of the 9 realms of old before they got destroyed during Ragnarok. The idea behind this shop is basically the same I had with Black Gold in episode 3, in the sense that both Pueblo de Saguaro Guitaro and Nyr Midgard will be the first areas guests will visit after the entrance area, so they'll probably need a breakfast to get going. But this time I decided to make it a proper food and beverages location with seating because it's the perfect way to get started before a day full of fun, isn't it? This building is named after Freyr, who was the brother of Freya and the god of prosperity, who could command the rain and sun rays, which is why I decided to make him a green windmill surrounded by crops, a good point of interest for one end of the area. On the other side of the path where Freyr's Mill is located, we have another food and beverages unit called Barbardottir's Tavern, a little reference to one of my moderators, the talented Miss Barbar. As you can see from the menu, this is a barbecue place where you can also drink the legendary Mead of Poetry, some Strong Joy Ale, let's see if there are some Critical Role fans in my subscribers, and of course some honey-flavored soda for the kids. I loved building this circular building. I really learned to do off-grid building in this park, and hopefully that'll serve me well in the future. Who am I kidding? I already know that it does, but you'll have to wait a little longer to know what I mean by that. Anyway, this circular shape is simply an excuse to have this central fire where guests can barbecue various types of sausages themselves. You can even see that I put some scaled down coaster supports to make it look like there indeed are some sausages, just don't try to take a bite, it might break your teeth. This being a tavern, I also wanted to give the illusion that the inside is bigger than it is thanks to this fake first floor that in reality is just doors placed on the outside walls. And if you can't stand the heat of the fire in the summer, you can always sit outside, which will get you awesome views of the coaster and the forced perspective mountain range that encircles the area. Once we leave the tavern, we get to the Yggdrasil Plaza, where a seed of the destroyed world tree has been planted in the hopes of one day bringing it back to its former glory. At the foot of it, you will also find various weapons and shields of the fallen warriors that did not make it to the afterlife during the Battle of Ragnarok because Valhalla was destroyed. Speaking of weapons, the Nyr Midgardians are already training the next generation of warriors at the Berserker training grounds. This was originally going to be a teacup ride, but the ride plot is so big that I just didn't have enough space for it, so I went for this instead. This is an interactive axe throwing place, and I'm sure you never thought that would be possible in Planet Coaster. Thanks to the new and improved first-person camera, we can trigger sequencers while walking around the park, which means that you can throw axes in Camtaso Park. I think that's a pretty cool and underutilized feature that I'm trying to share to the community as much as I can, because there are so many cool interactive things we can do in our parks now thanks to this. The possibilities are genuinely endless. Plus, I mean, come on, axe throwing in a Viking setting while being surrounded by a coaster. Okay, now that I say it out loud, it does sound dangerous. Just look at the rules that I spent way too long writing to make sure you don't get injured or injure someone else while you're having fun, okay? Unusual activities like this always make a theme park really unique. It's not always just about the rides. A theme park day can be about so many different things that will make it a good day. On the side of the axe throwing place, there's even a little watchtower that's just there as storage space for the staff to hide the axes away from the public after opening hours. Nothing fancy, just safety precautions. Beyond this point, there's also the second portal for Camtaso City, which means that in the next episode we'll visit the final area that will complete the loop of the park. In fact, not only that, the entire park itself will be done. We're getting real close to the end of the series, and I still need a little more time to finish that area, so unlike the previous two episodes and the one you're currently watching, episode 7 will come out a little later, and I want to thank you in advance for your patience. Anyway, let's talk about this portal to Camtaso City, which might seem familiar if you've seen this video of mine. It's a reimagined version of my Valhalla build that I've made a few months ago. I thought this was such a great build that I had to do a remake of it in Camtaso Park, since I don't think I'll do another Viking themed land anytime soon. Fun fact, it almost became the station for our coaster, but I thought it worked better as the portal to this other area in order not to hide the key view of the coaster too much. Speaking of which, there are great views of the coaster on either side of this bridge. An airtime hill even goes above the bridge, which is just awesome. I think it frames the build so well. Moving on to the second to last Jan BK toilets of the series, the outhouse. You know the drill, I basically used my toilet kit that you can download with this share code to make custom toilet booths, sinks, and hand dryers. I really like how the door handles are axes and how each door's got a different shield on them, but my favorite detail's gotta be the septic tank outside with the water going into the fjord. A bit crude, but toilet humor's right up my alley, what can I say? Moving on from the outhouse, crossing Yggdrasil Plaza, once again we've got the gift shop for the area that also happens to be located at the exit of our coaster. This is Ragnarok Relics, a shop dedicated to every item that was scavenged from the battlefields of the apocalyptic event. In fact, there are some hidden details in the build about key events of the battle. Odin the Allfather is depicted on the banners holding the sign with his ravens Hugin and Munin on his shoulders. There's also Fenrir on the wall, or at least the closest piece I could get to a wolf, since he's the one who triggers Ragnarok by killing Odin. And we also have two other wolves at each extremities of the roof, Skull and Hati, who are eating Mani, the moon, and Sol, the sun. Among the things being sold here, we have glow-in-the-dark trolls, which are amazing pieces. I've hidden a few of them in the land if you want to go troll hunting. We also have shields and weapons, and of course the mandatory tiny hands. They take a whole lot of percentage, but it's worth it. They're a great plushie to add to a gift shop, and if you want to add it to yours, here's the share code to download it from the workshop. But as you can see, the shop owners have also found Odin's legendary spear Gungnir, and they've exposed it over the shop counter. Perhaps we could say it's an expensive premium item that our guest could buy. Don't worry. With little to no magic left in Midgard because the gods fell, Gungnir is not as lethal as it used to be in the hands of Odin. But another weapon has been found by someone else in the village, which also gives its name to our coaster. We have Mjölnir, Thor's legendary hammer, also known as Jonathan if the other name is too hard for you to pronounce. This is a Vekoma new-gen launch coaster with the steepest beyond vertical launch in the world that goes into the stall that you can see here. What a view to get you hyped to ride, but I hope the storyline around the attraction will also get you excited. After Ragnarok, most of the iconic figures of the Nine Realms fell, including most of the dwarves from Svartalfheim, but one of them survived, Sindri the Master Craftsman. Sindri had forged Mjölnir with his brother Brock for 4, but the impulsive and violent god would use it to channel his fury and terrorize the Nine Realms. When 4 perished fighting the world serpent Jormungandr during Ragnarok, the hammer was given to the god's daughter, Frud, but she knew the legacy of the weapon and didn't want to fall down into madness like her father. That is why she went to Sindri, the only remaining master craftsman who had made the deadly weapon, to ask him to make a new hammer that wouldn't channel her family's heritage, and in exchange she would give him Mjölnir. Sindri accepted. Frud now had a new hammer and the dwarf was now the owner of the mythical hammer. Ever the inventor, he decided to use the magic found in the rune cave of his workshop to try and reawaken its power in order to make a boat fly. Frankly, it still needs adjustments to make it a reliable transport, but fortunately you're here to be test riders of this new technology of Nyr Midgard. Are you up to the task? Well then, get ready to enter the queue line. Once we go past the really cool right sign, we're greeted by the outside of Sindri's forge, which is inside the cavern since it reminds him of Svartalfheim, his homeland. He's even got a statue of him and his brother on top of the forge that come alive and let smoke out when the train leaves the station. With a left turn, we get to a cattle pen next to the terrace of Freyr's Mill, which then leads us to some sort of Stonehenge-style structure with a little flame that lights up when a train launches up the Beyond vertical launch. After a little turn around this structure, we get inside Sindri's forge, where we can see a lot of forge-related items like an anvil, a crucible, a grindstone, and magical rune fire for enchanted items. This is also where I was finally able to do some double-sided lockers. They're not very detailed because, as you know, every piece makes the counter go up on console, so I couldn't number them, give them handles and such, but the concept's there. We even have a sign telling you that loose artifacts are forbidden in the rune cave. You wouldn't want to trigger a random magical effect without wanting to, now would you? And naturally, Vikings obviously had 21st century metal detectors to make sure no loose artifacts went inside the caves. All jokes aside, that's a Yanko design, my fictional company that owns all of my parks since my first park in Planet Coaster 1, and if you'd like to use it in your park too, feel free to download this with the share code that's on your screen. That's definitely one I'll use without moderation for security checkpoints, including in the next episode of Camtaso Park and the first episode of my next park series, so subscribe in order not to miss those. Anyway, we're now in the rune cave where you'll get a great view of the train going down into the launch in a very Tutatis manner. Further down into the cave, we're greeted by a statue of Thor holding Mjölnir. Once we get to the station, a classic station of mine with numbered rows, a right description board, but also a new addition for this coaster only, the other side of the double-sided lockers. But my friends, it's time for you to board Sindri's flying boat prototype powered by Mjölnir. Hold on tight, this promises to be an intense ride. And voila! This was Nyr Midgard, the Norse mythology area themed to the Viking character in Planet Coaster 2. In fact, now that I've said that this is Thor's daughter, we might as well call her Frud. I think this area turned out great despite the fact that this is yet another one that I've had to scale back because of the complexity meter. I think it was saved by the lore of the area, which is so developed that it really makes everything super cohesive. We're currently at 80% on the complexity meter with this current version of the park, and speaking of which, you can download version 6 of Camtaso Park right now with this share code on the Frontier Workshop. The next episode is going to be the series finale, but the park still needs some work, so expect the video to release at least 2 or 3 weeks from when this video is released. It takes a lot of care to complete a park nearing 100% on the console, especially knowing you can get locked out of your save once you reach 100%. Fortunately, this is something I won't have to worry about anymore once I switch to PC. Yes, you may not know this yet, but I've decided to save for a PC. If you'd like to see an insane mega park one day, make sure to support my hard work by liking this video, being supportive in a comment down below, and even subscribing to the channel. On top of that, if you cannot wait much longer and want to get my videos in early access, consider becoming a channel supporter with the link in the description. You'll even get sneak peeks at my ongoing projects, special badges next to your name in the livestream and premiere chats, your name at the end of my videos and in my parks, but most importantly, you'll help me get closer to buying a PC like these 34 legends who appear on your screen are doing right now. And of course, if you'd simply like to share your builds with me and my community, why don't you join the YanHQ Discord server? It's completely free and it's a very feel-good place where we'd love to welcome you. You'll find the link for that in the description as well. But for now, this has been Yan, you've been awesome, and I'll see you all in the next one.